Hey, what's up, guys? It's Chris, and it is a little bit after 5 a.m. actually on Wednesday, January 20th. I don't know if you can see that. See that? And I haven't been to sleep. And I wanted to make this video on this day and hopefully edit and get it out to you guys before noon. So the reason I started this channel was so that I can give a common sense approach to the news, because I noticed that it was something that was severely lacking in cable news. For some reason, which I guess I can kind of understand, they wanted to protect their relationships with just anyone. And it's hard to put these videos out, not because there's a lack of ideas or even content, because everything happens daily and you can just pick a story and create something about it. But I'm a father of 5, which is part of the reason that I'm shooting this video at 5 a.m. in the morning. And I run a couple businesses. YouTube isn't what's paying my bills, but I enjoy it. I really do. And I've been taking in what's happened recently as far as the Capitol and the inauguration and Trump not willing to concede, and it's been a lot. So I talked to a lot of my friends behind the scenes of all races, white folks, black folks, but the one common denominator that I realized is that the difference for black Americans is different than what my white counterparts would experience. And I know that sounds kind of crazy, because it just kind of does offhand, because black folks and white folks typically have a different experience in America. But I figured that something like this, everyone would be on the same page, that what happened during the Capitol riots was a bad thing. I was surprised to find out that not everyone felt it was a bad thing. And it's not who you would expect either. So just looking at this from the lens of a black man in America, because I'm an American, but I'm also a black man in America. And those are two totally different things, as funny as it may sound, but they are. And if I'm being completely honest with you guys, I don't really know what to feel. And that's rare for me. I can usually tell you exactly how I feel about any given subject at any given time, sometimes unsolicited. But, you know, this is one of those things where I really couldn't explain exactly how I felt. As an American, it bothers me. You have people storming the Capitol and bringing Confederate flags into the United States Capitol, and that isn't even something that happened during the Civil War. The last time anyone breached our Capitol was like 200 plus years ago. It doesn't happen, and somehow Al-Qaeda figured out how to do it. As a black man in America, I don't know if I'm really that upset about what happened. And it isn't because, well, see, this is where it gets tricky, because you're always upset when there's a loss of life. And there were 5 people killed at the Capitol. But the reason that I'm really not sure how to feel and really not that upset is because I saw this coming. And so did most black people in America. We saw this coming. Let's take the problem of white supremacy, for example. This has been a problem that the FBI was aware of for decades upon decades, but they don't want to do anything about it because guess what? They look like them. They may not be the actual people that are out there committing the 230,000 hate crimes per year, of which only 25 are actually prosecuted, but most law enforcement officers are white men, and most terrorists in this country are white men. So when 2 people who look alike look at each other, they're usually going to give the person that looks just like them some sort of leniency. Now, that doesn't make you a bad person. If you're a white guy watching this, and I know a few of my white friends are watching this, I know I don't have to explain it to you, but let me explain it to everyone else. It doesn't make you a bad person. That's human nature. If you see someone that looks like you, there's commonality there. Unfortunately, it extended into the justice system. That's a big problem. There's a gentleman by the name of Mike German, who is a former FBI undercover agent, and he laid it all out in a blistering report, basically explaining that the FBI doesn't want to curtail white supremacist violence for whatever reason. And he's been writing on this subject for well over 20 years. In 2006, there was a study that was released saying that, hey, look, guys, there's a lot of problems in our law enforcement in different states all over the country. And white supremacists are infiltrating law enforcement and the military. And the FBI made this an issue and no one really cared. It just came and went. In 2017, the FBI wrote another memo saying that white supremacists were a persistent threat to the safety of Americans. Not Muslim jihadists or Black Panthers, but white supremacists, right-wing, far-right militias were the biggest threat. The Black Lives Matter movement, yeah, every one of them were pegged as Black identity extremists and considered terrorists, even though they haven't hurt anyone at all. And of course, you can probably bring up anecdotal evidence saying, hey, they hit this one guy in the mall parking lot 5 years ago. No. I mean, on a wide scale, white supremacists, according to the FBI and other intelligence agencies, are the biggest threat to American safety, not Black Lives Matter protesters. But instead of taking this threat seriously, what did most white folks do? They said all lives matter, or blue lives matter, because black people were criticizing police for police brutality and killing us on camera, and all they could say is white people get shot too, as if it's some sort of competition. I've said it before and I'll say it again. All lives matter, blue lives matter. All that is a way to tell black people to shut up. That's really all it is. Out of all the police officers that are in this country, how many of them are black? A lot. So if you were to say Black Lives Matter, you are also talking about police officers and military personnel. So it was never black people against police officers, because that just wouldn't make any sense. It's saying that, hey, black folks are being killed disproportionately by police and we need to do something about it. Just hold someone accountable, that's it. And that turned into something super disrespectful somehow. And then it gets so much worse, because Colin Kaepernick decides he wants to be a symbol of freedom and kneel during a football game. And when he sat down, no one cared, but the minute he kneeled to show respect to the military, it became an issue. We kneel, there's a problem. We march, there's a problem. We riot, there's a problem. There's no way that black folks can actually voice their opinion on police brutality that white people are comfortable with. And again, I hate the fact that I have to put an asterisk and say it's not all white people. We don't generalize here. There are good people, there are bad people, period. But the overall point remains the same. No matter what we do, it's a problem. But if you beat a police officer almost to death with an American flag, no issue. It's justified, because hey, he's upholding the government that stole the election from the government. You don't have to take my word for it. Take DC officer Mike Fanone, who basically said that he was beaten almost to a pulp and they tried to take his gun, and at one point someone yelled out, take his own gun and shoot him with it. And when he yelled out that he had children, a few people surrounded him to try to help move him away from the crowd that was trying to kill him. And while he's grateful for it, he said it himself. Thank you, but F you for being there. Or take DC officer Daniel Hodges. He really illustrated my point perfectly, because according to him, when these protesters came up to him, they basically said, hey, look, we had your back during all the Black Lives Matter stuff. We're on your side. You should just kind of let us through. And Daniel said it best. He said they felt as if they were going to tell me they were a Blue Lives Matter crew and we were just going to hold hands, walk into the chamber and throw over the government. That's not how it works. Thank you, Daniel, for that. We really appreciate it. So I want you to understand that they don't care about blue lives. They care about an agenda. Black people are complaining, shut them up. Hey, let's gaslight them and say all these other things that really don't matter at all. But the minute they get confronted with police officers, they kill them. They beat them. And they want you to think that we're the problem. So again, as an American, what happened on January 6th scares me. It scares me to death. But as a black man in America, we saw this coming. We try to tell y'all that this was happening, that there is this, you can look on the news and see that these white men, vanilla ISIS, decided that they could overthrow the government whenever they wanted. And I thought they were crazy, but they proved me wrong. Of course, they didn't overthrow the government, but the point is that they got further than an invading army did. And while the Capitol Police were warned, they didn't take it seriously because, hey, it's just a bunch of white men. They're not going to do anything to us, even though history shows otherwise. And yeah, by the time you get this video, Trump is either out of office or on his way out of office. And it doesn't stop with Trump. It just started. He said so himself. So Joe Biden, I wish him the best, but he can say all he wants that this isn't America, but This is America. Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and I'll catch you after the next one. Peace.